The forest stood silent, a wall of trees, ancient and imposing. They had seen it all, births, deaths, and things man was not meant to know. It was in this unforgiving wilderness that Jim Harper, an experienced hiker, went missing. He was a man who knew the woods, or so everyone thought. Jim had set out on a bright Saturday morning. His backpack was packed, his compass secured. He was prepared for a day-long hike. He promised his wife he'd be back by nightfall. But nightfall came. No Jim. The first sign was his abandoned car, found at the edge of the forest. The car door was ajar. An eerie silence hung in the air, the silence of the forest, a silence that seemed to whisper, to warn of secrets best left buried. Dawn broke. A search party assembled, faces etched with worry. They ventured into the woods. Their calls for Jim echoed. Only the trees answered back. The forest held its secrets close. The air was thick. The smell of pine needles filled their nostrils. The search party spread out, their eyes scanning the forest floor. Every rustle of leaves, every snapping twig sent shivers down their spines. Hope dwindled with each passing hour. As the day wore on, the forest seemed to change. The air grew colder. A strange mist rolled in. Obscuring the already faint sunlight, the trees seemed to press in closer, their branches like grasping claws. The search party felt it, a presence unseen, unnatural. The wind whispered through the trees, but it carried a strange sound, a low hum, almost inaudible. It pulsed in the air, a rhythm that sent chills down their spines. It was then that they noticed the strange symbols etched into the trees. The symbols were old, ancient, carved into the bark with unnatural precision. They were like hieroglyphs, but unlike anything they had ever seen, they spiraled and twisted, seemingly random, yet undeniably deliberate.
One of the searchers, a young woman named Sarah, felt a cold dread creep up her spine. She had seen these symbols before, in her dreams, nightmares that had haunted her since childhood. Nightmares of strange lights in the sky, and beings with eyes as black as the void.
Section 4. Signs of the Unexplained. Deeper into the forest they went. Driven by a mixture of fear and determination, they found Jim's backpack lying under a towering oak. The oak was at the center of a clearing, bathed in an unnatural light. The backpack was undisturbed, but empty. Except for one thing, a small metallic object shaped like a teardrop. It was cold to the touch and pulsed with a faint inner light.
As Sarah picked it up, the humming in the air intensified. The ground beneath their feet began to tremble. The trees around them swayed, though there was no wind. The light filtering through the canopy twisted and distorted, as if reality itself was unraveling. Fear turned to terror. They were no longer just searching for a missing hiker. They were caught in something far stranger, far more dangerous.
Section 5. A glimmer in the sky. The light was blinding. It pierced through the dense canopy. A circular opening had appeared above them. The trees were being pushed aside, as if by an invisible force. Through the opening they saw it, a glimmer, a shape, descend from the sky. It was a craft of some kind, metallic and smooth. It hovered silently above the clearing, defying gravity, defying logic.
The humming reached a fever pitch. Then, silence. A door slid open in the side of the craft, bathing the clearing in an unearthly light. Two figures stood in the opening. They were tall and slender. Their skin was a pale, almost translucent gray. They had no hair, and their eyes were large, black, and filled with an intelligence that both terrified and mesmerized. One of the figures stepped forward, its gaze fixed on Sarah. She felt a connection, a pull, as if she was being drawn towards them.
Section 6. An unsettling silence. Sarah took a step forward. Compelled by an unseen force, her mind screamed at her to run, but her body wouldn't obey. She was powerless, a puppet on invisible strings. The figure reached out. Its long, slender fingers brushed against her cheek. It was cold, lifeless, yet strangely familiar. Then everything went dark.
The search party was found days later, standing on the edge of the forest, their eyes vacant, their minds blank. They had no memory of what had transpired, no memory of Jim, no memory of the craft, no memory of the beings, nothing. Except for Sarah. She remembered it all. The humming, the lights, the eyes, and she knew. Jim was gone, taken, but not by who or what. He was with them now, a part of something beyond human comprehension. And as she looked up at the night sky, at the stars that seemed to twinkle a little brighter, a little closer, she couldn't help but wonder, was he looking back?